Welcome to the Tesla Economist. Please hit the thumbs up and remember to subscribe. Elon just gave an interview at the Wall Street Journal CEO Summit. I wanted to go over what was discussed, how it might relate to Tesla, and go over Elon's views on economics. Elon conducts the interview digitally in the Texas Gigafactory, and we can see it in the background. He explains how the office space and the factory are together, and management is not contained in an ivory tower. Management and engineering work as close as possible together. Elon starts off by talking about how we have traffic problems on highways, and they'll get worse with autonomous vehicles, which is what I've been saying too. There'll be more cars on the road when we have autonomy. Elon is asked more about the government, and he replies that the role of government should be like a referee, but not a player on the field. This is almost a direct quote from the economist Milton Friedman, who says government should be a referee, not an active player, which I also agree with. I swear everything Elon says about economics concurs with exactly the way I think too. The only thing I ever disagreed with him on was Dogecoin, but having said that, it was Bitcoin that Tesla bought and briefly accepted as payment for Teslas. Elon talks about how rules and regulation make business more and more difficult. He says it hardens the arteries of civilization, and that government should be trying to get rid of rules and regulations that perhaps had some merit at some point, but don't have any merit currently, and this is a big problem. Again, I love that he is saying this, as I agree so much. This is partly what is referred to as moats. These rules and regulations stop competition coming in and create moats around the existing players, a large part of which goes back to cronyism, exactly like we're witnessing today, and we go back to Elon's quote on Twitter about the EV bill. This is written by Ford and UAW lobbyists, as they make their electric car in Mexico. Not obvious how this serves the US taxpayers. Elon goes on to talk about the subsidies that Tesla stopped getting years ago, which actually went to the consumer, and all Tesla sales that they get have nothing to do with that, and that Tesla makes 2/3 of the EVs in the United States. Tesla makes twice as many as the rest of the industry combined, and that Tesla don't need the $7,500 tax credit to do that, as they exhausted that long ago. Elon happens to not be a fan of the new EV bill, and as I've said in the past, all it will do for Tesla is simply make the waiting lists for their cars increase. They will sell every car either way. He even goes on to say that there is no need for the support of the government for the charging networks either, and compares it to the fact that we don't need support for gas stations. Then he says just get rid of all subsidies, which he also includes with fossil fuels. Elon says maybe the competition need the subsidies, but remove them anyway, and that when Tesla was started there were no subsidies, and that the only reason the subsidies came about was from GM's lobbying. Elon says he doesn't want any of the subsidies earmarked for R&D either. Like I say also, Tesla is doing everything they can as fast as possible. They are not strained in any way by capital. They were earlier on, but not now. Tesla's R&D is more than funded by their profits. Then Elon talks about how crazy government spending is, as the spending is so far in excess of revenue, it's insane. And I've spoken about this before, as it's partly due to modern monetary theory, and that's why I own Bitcoin. Elon then talks about the anti-billionaire rhetoric, and he's asked that how do you tax a billionaire? Elon says he already pays 53% tax, which is true, but Joanna Stern was more likely implying about taxing their level of wealth. Elon then talks about all the other taxes he is subjected to, and he is in favour of a state tax. But Elon gets to the real point about having assets beyond a certain level that are far beyond someone's ability to consume, which is perhaps a first principles way of describing what everyone means by ultra wealthy, which is not taking money from personal expenditure and what eventually becomes capital allocation. And if you were to try and take your wealth from these people, it does not make sense. To take the job of capital allocation away from people who have demonstrated a great skill at capital allocation, and then to give it to an entity that has demonstrated a very poor skill in capital allocation, i.e. the government. Elon then says that the government is a corporation with a monopoly on violence and has no recourse, which he has stated in the past before. Elon does further elaborate on that and does say that he thinks the government should exist, implying he is not an anarcho-capitalist. Neither am I, but I do know some very smart people who are. Personally, I can't quite get there myself, but they do have some great arguments. And Elon even says he's not an extreme libertarian, but thinks we should definitely limit what the government does, as the government's efficiency on spending is going to be lower than a competitive commercial company by a lot. He gives examples of East versus West Germany and North versus South Korea, Again, I'm in full agreement with him. Economics has taught me this too. Elon is asked about the chairman position for Tesla, which he is actually eligible for again since his infamous 420 tweet. And Elon says that all the titles are basically just made up anyway, and Elon's title is Techno King, which he officially changed it to, as we know, to illustrate this point. Elon is then asked about any update of the Tesla bot, and he talks about how Tesla cars are just a robot on 4 wheels, and then they can simply take that technology and place it into a humanoid robot. Basically, the full self-driving technology will be replicated with robots. And he's asked about applications for the robot. Elon says it has the potential to become a generalized substitute for labor, which is the biggest industry there could possibly be. Elon then talks about how there are simply not enough people in the world, which we hear him often mention, especially seeing declining populations, which is the opposite of many other narratives of people who think the population is growing out of control. And the interviewer has done her homework and actually asks about 12.9. Elon says it just came out of nowhere, and as far as he knows, nothing is happening then, i.e. the 9th of December, which is kind of where I am too, which is why I haven't made any videos on it. But who knows, I guess we'll find out soon. Then Elon is asked about the Cybertruck. It's going to be an incredible product, maybe their best product ever. It has a lot of new technology and is thus a hard car to make. And we expect full volume production in 2023, and we'll get a more detailed update on the Tesla earnings call next year. In the past, Elon has said volume production is 20,000 units a month, so at some stage in 2023, we'll see Cybertruck at least at the run rate of around 250,000 units a year, which is interesting. But yes, that's right, Elon is going to be back on the earnings call, which we've also heard him say already. Then Neuralink, which is working well within monkeys and a lot of testing and confirming it's still very safe and reliable. And the fact a monkey could play Pong telepathically, which is quite profound. And Neuralink will be in the first humans next year for people who have severe spinal cord injuries. Wow, I didn't realize they were that far with Neuralink. Elon is amazing, and he thinks they have a chance of restoring full body functionality to someone who has a spinal cord injury, implying someone paralyzed will be able to walk again, which is astounding. And then we move on to the Starship, which is the biggest rocket ever made and fully reusable, which there has never before been. This is a fundamental breakthrough that is necessary for humanity to become a space-faring civilization. He goes into rockets and space travel more, which is interesting, but not what I specialize in. But basically, it's the difference between humanity being a single planet species and a multi-planet species. And then it ends with some levity about his sense of humor, which I personally appreciate a lot. Then there are some questions from the audience. He is asked about his views on China and the United States. He believes China might have an economy 2 or 3 times the size of the United States, and that China is going to be the biggest kid on the block, and he hopes that they will have as a positive relationship as possible and work towards a mutual prosperity of humanity as a whole. I really loved this interview. Although there was only a little bit of information about what was going on in Tesla, it was great hearing some of Elon's views on economics and how much they align with my own personal views. I have a feeling that with Elon on the earnings call in January, there's going to be some big news, so a lot to look forward to there. Also, in the background, seeing Texas, it looks like it's just about ready, so perhaps the opening will be announced very soon. Elon is accomplishing so many amazing things. I hope you realize just how lucky you are to be alive at the same time as his existence. There would be so much less in the world to look forward to if he wasn't here. Thanks for listening. Please hit the thumbs up and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter and talk to me on Patreon.